Looking for the perfect A-line maxi dress pattern that combines style, comfort, and functionality? The Yaxza Maxi Dress offers a flattering silhouette specifically drafted to fit your hips and butt. The key features are hidden pockets and slit front opening for a clean, polished look, hidden utility-style pockets, open option to either create a maxi or a midi, stylish shirt tail hemline, side pockets, puff sleeves, and an optional belt. Of course, we will be using the covered Me Chic Yaxza Dress PDF sewing pattern. So to follow along, get yours at the link below in the description. And here are the materials that you'll need. Please refer to the included instructions for sizing, pattern, printing, and assembly, and layout information. I'll be making view A, cutting out all pieces except for the belt. I'm using a lightweight 4-ounce denim, but you can use any light to medium weight woven fabrics such as cotton shirting, chambray, linen. Full list is in the instructions. Here we have the front bodice, so top and bottom bodice pieces with right sides together. We're going to finish the edges and then we're going to press flat. Once we have pressed it down and finished the edges, we're going to pin so that we can top stitch at the edge at 1/8 of a seam allowance. Then we're going to sew the front to the dot and also the front facing and the shoulder seams. So make sure you match the front chest seam, and also you're going to pin and sew to the dot for the front bodice and the front facing. Now we're going to show the shoulder seams for the front and back bodice, and also the shoulder seam on the front and back facing. Now I'm going to take the facing to the serger and finish the outside edge and press flat. Now I'm going to pin the facing to the bodice, matching all seams and notches. Now we're going to sew the neck seam at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, making sure that all notches and seams are matching. Then we're going to trim to 1/4 inch and then understitch about 1/8 inch. You want to press the seam towards the facing and do it 1/8 inch from the edge understitch after you clip the rounded side so it lays flat. Now you fold and pin the center front and sew that at 1/2 inch seam allowance to the dot on both sides. Now you clip the corners, turn right side out, and press flat. Now that everything's pressed, we're going to do top stitching on the front facing. So I'm just pinning down the front facing and sewing at 1 inch away from the center front seam on both sides. I'm doing it by eye here, but if you need to, you can mark it with some chalk and just sew 1 inch away from the center front seam on both sides. And then I'm going to tack down the facing at the shoulder seam on both sides, just using the seam allowance. So there's 2 pieces for the front waistband. You're going to take one piece, fold 1/2 inch and press. That piece you're going to pin to the back. Starting in the center front, you pin matching the notches, and you're going to sandwich the bodice, the front bodice, in between both waistbands. You're going to do the same thing for the back. The folded edge in the back and the non-folded edge in the front. Make sure that the bottom part has both notches. That's the part that you fold. Here's the back skirt. I'm pinning right sides together for the center back seam. Just pin it together and then we're gonna take it over to the machine and sew. Now we're sewing the front waistband at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and we're going to sew the back the same way. Now we're sewing the center back for the skirt. I'm going to finish all seams with the serger. Once you finish finishing the edges, you press all seams, and now moving over to the pockets. On the pattern, it's 1 inch. I'll just follow the markings on the pattern. I'm just transferring the markings to the actual piece, and I'm pinning it to the front skirt, matching the notches. Now I'm going to sew the pocket opening following the markings on both sides. I'm going to clip it to a 1/4 inch and then clip the angles so that I can fold over and lay flat. Once you fold it over, press flat, and then I'm going to top stitch it in 1/8 inch. I'm going to add the pocket facing. Just pin around the edge of the pocket, and then you're going to sew a 1/2 inch and finish the edges. Now that we have our pockets added, I'm pinning the pocket in place. You can also stay stitch it. I just pin it because it's quicker and easier. And now we're going to attach the bodice to the skirt. So right sides together, you're going to match all the notches, starting in the center front and sew. We're going to do this to the front and the back. So you sew the waistband to the skirt at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're going to do this to the front and the back, only the front piece of the waistband. Now you're going to pin in place the folded side of the waistband, and you're going to sew on the opposite side at an 1/8 inch top stitch, making sure you catch the back of the waistband. So here I changed to an edge foot. You can buy this for your home machine. It's called an edge foot. So it lines up at an 1/8 inch. So I use it basically to do top stitching, which makes everything straight and easy. So I did it to the top and the bottom of the waistband, making sure that you catch the other side of the waistband, the back side of the waistband. Now we're going to take the 1.5 inch elastic and channel it through the back waistband. You can adjust this, put it on to adjust it to make it as tight as you want, but we're going to pin it at both edges so that it doesn't come through, and we're going to put this aside and work on the sleeve. So we're going to sew 2 rows of stay stitch on the widest seam, one 1/4 inch and one 1/2 inch away from the edge. Gather it a little bit, and then we're going to pin it together and match the notches. So now we're going to match the sleeve dot to the shoulder seam and match all the other notches and basically ease the gathers so that everything matches up nicely, and then sew at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So once we have everything pinned, we're going to sew it at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then we're going to match all seams to sew the side seam and the sleeve seam. So match up the waistband seams first, pin in place, and then match up the sleeve seam, and then pin that in place, and then basically match the notches on the side seam. And you do that to both sides. Then we're going to take it over to the machine and sew it at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm starting at the top of the slip because I have a slip in this dress. So I marked the dot for that and then sewed the side seam. I took it over to the serger and finished the edges, and now I'm just marking where the elastic's going to go. I'm marking 1/2 inch away from the edge. You fold the sleeve in half at the seam, mark it, and then you fold it in half again and you mark it again. You're going to do the same thing for the elastic after you sew it together. Make sure you backstitch it so that it's strong, and you mark it in quarters. So now I'm going to follow the marked edge, matching up all of the quarters around the bottom of the sleeve. Make sure you don't stretch the fabric and just stretching the elastic. And you sew the elastic about 1/8 inch away from the elastic edge. So you can go slow with this to make sure that everything lines up. And now you fold over and you're going to sew about 1 inch away from the edge. You just pin where you marked the chalk before. I use a seam guide just to make sure that the edge is straight. Now I changed the press foot to a 1/4 inch hem foot, which makes sewing the hem, a narrow hem, very easy. So I know that they have this for home machines as well as industrial machines. So you just fold and sew. This gives you a 1/4 inch clean finish hem. So you do it to the front and the back. So once you finish both hems, you press everything flat, and then you're going to fold the slit at 1/2 inch on both sides, and then fold again 1/4 inch. You just clip at the top of the slit so that everything lays flat. And then you're going to take it over to the machine and sew on the right side, 1/4 inch away from the edge. Now you are done. Just give everything a good press all of the seams and the edges. And I hope this video inspires you to make this dress yourself. Don't forget to download the pattern. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.